The thing that all of my baits have in common in the wintertime is the size. I rarely use a bait that's heavier than a quarter ounce, maybe as much as 3/8, and almost never a bait that's more than 3 or 3.5 inches in length throughout the wintertime. The reason for that is that these fish, their metabolism is at the lowest point it's going to be all year long. So they just cannot digest a really big meal very easily. I've talked to some people, I know some people that have, catch fish on big baits throughout the winter. But for me as a tournament angler, if I'm fishing in a tournament that time of year, I need to try to catch as many and as big a fish as possible all at the same time. So it's more important for me, I feel like, to go through a number of bites, and then if I can switch to a big bait to try to catch a big bite, then hey, that's what I'll do. But for me, I'm going to use those smaller, lighter weight baits to try to get as many bites as I can, and hopefully throughout the day, some of those are going to be big fish. So that's the biggest common thread that all of my baits have throughout the winter time. For me, if I had to pick one bait that's my go-to, it'd be a wrapless shad wrap. That's a small crankbait with a very tight action, very tight natural wiggle, and that's a bait that I've caught so many fish on. Another one would be a hair jig, something like a bucktail, a deer hair, a small brown or green jig during that time of year. No trailer, just a hair jig, just a very simple hair jig. Another one would be a soft plastic, a bait fish imitating style bait, just rigged on a jig head. Something that I can actually fish vertical using my electronics on my boat to actually drop down 2 fish I can see on the bottom or around bait fish clouds, those type of things. So using the crankbait if I'm fishing areas up shallow, the hair jig, or even a rubber skirted jig, a 1/4 ounce or a 3/8 ounce jig, those type of things to imitate crawfish, or the bait fish imitating soft plastic rigged on a jig head, 1/4, 3/16 ounce, drop vertical to fish I can see on my electronics. Those are my go-to baits in the wintertime.